Child's Play is the newest installment of the long-running franchise and is a reboot/remake of the original film and follows a young boy named Andy Barkley who gets a buddy doll named Chucky for his birthday, but soon finds out that his doll is more malicious and violent than he thought due to it rejecting its programming and slowly becoming psychotic. I am a huge fan of the Chucky franchise, and I particularly hold a special place in my heart for the first film. When I was 9 years old, I stayed up late one night watching this film, and American Werewolf in London, and the original Friday the 13th, and in turn my love for the horror genre was born. I was very iffy about horror when I was young, but it was the film that made me curious about the genre and what else it had to offer. I also enjoyed the sequels quite a bit, mostly for how schlocky and campy they got with each new installment. When it was announced that Child's Play would be remade without the original creator Don Mancini's approval, I was not happy about it and I dreaded seeing this film. I thought it would be a spit in the face to a film and franchise that I love so dearly, but after seeing it, I can say this film did not turn out to be as bad as I thought it was going to be. The acting in Child's Play is surprisingly pretty good across the board. Gabriel Bateman does a good job playing Andy, and Aubrey Plaza is great as his mother Karen, and their relationship was well fleshed out, even though we've seen it before in other movies. It's weird to see Aubrey Plaza play a mother, but she brings a lot of her eccentric and awkward personality to the role, which is always fun to see. Brian Tyree Henry gives a good performance as Detective Mike Norris, and he gets a lot of good jokes in the film. The dynamic he has with his mother is also well done, and was one of the best parts of the movie. Easily the best performance in the film is Mark Hamill as Chucky. Going in, I was thinking Hamill would play the role as the Joker in the doll's body, but that was not the case at all. Obviously, no one will ever top Brad Dourif as Chucky, since he's so synonymous with that character, but Hamill gives an interesting new spin on the character. Instead of Chucky being the soul of a man trapped in a doll's body, here he's a doll of AI that's been hacked and doesn't quite know how to feel about his programming and how to do things correctly. This film spends a good bit of time developing the relationship between Andy and Chucky, which the original film wasn't quite able to do as much as it should have. Chucky's motivation for killing people is so no one can hurt Andy, and have more playtime with him, and it makes Chucky out to be a sympathetic character. He's like a clingy friend that you can't get away from, and was an interesting direction the filmmakers took to redevelop this iconic character for a new generation. Hamill does an excellent job playing this doll with childlike innocence that gradually grows to be evil, and is easily the best part of the whole film. I was also surprised at how this film didn't take itself too seriously. Judging from the trailers, this film looked to be dark and gritty, but thankfully it wasn't. This is a tongue-in-cheek film that's aware of how silly the concept of a killer doll is. There's also some funny bits of dark humor thrown in as well. It reminded me a lot of some of the later films in the original franchise of how silly and goofy it was. I mean, Chucky learns how to kill people from watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, so it has to be a little silly. The kills aren't anything too special, but I do like the fact that this film decided to go for the 80s slasher vibe, with how gory they were, and I like the concept of Chucky being able to control electronic devices to his will. The film reminded me a lot of an episode of the show Black Mirror, but just way goofier and sillier. If there's anything else I liked about Child's Play, it's that Bear McCreary's score is really good, and the main theme gives me vibes of the themes from Curse of Chucky, but a little more innocent sounding. The direction and cinematography are also pretty good. I do have some problems with this film, with my biggest being that Chucky's design is honestly terrible. The best way to describe him is it looks like the classic Chucky but with Down syndrome. I found myself laughing a lot at his look, and there were many unintentionally hilarious moments with the character where he does things that look silly that aren't supposed to be. I know the filmmakers wanted to differentiate the look of Chucky from the previous films, but they could have done a much better job. There's also some weak characterization, with Andy's friends being the best example. All of them feel like stock and cliche horror film characters, and they also came off as just annoying. The film tries to have a Stranger Things vibe with Andy and his friends, but it pretty much fails. I also feel like the film could have had more scenes of tension and suspense. The scenes where there is tension and suspense being built are good, but there's not enough of them. It would have made the film a little bit scarier. My final complaint is that the third act also feels a little anticlimactic. Without spoiling anything, the film's third act starts off terrific, but just ends with something that did not work for me, and it really could have been done better. I was genuinely surprised that Child's Play wasn't a train wreck like I thought it was going to be. I went in fully expecting to hate this film, but it might be the biggest surprise of the whole year so far. This is a fun little slasher flick that reimagines the original film in a new way without being a disservice to it and the rest of the franchise. If you're a hardcore fan of the Chucky franchise like I am, and are willing to accept something different from this series, I think you'll enjoy it and won't be offended by it like I thought it was going to be. If this film is successful, and they decide to make more, I really hope that this reboot and the main series can coexist, since I think that would be a wonderful thing. I would love to see Mancini continue the original franchise, while also seeing this potential reboot franchise do things we didn't see or won't see in the main series. Child's Play gets a B.